You are now listening to the No Clipping Podcast.
Welcome back to another great episode of No Clipping Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Ace, also known as Dre the Engineer. I got with me my boy
Juan and Juan the Engineer on Instagram. What's going on, y'all?
What's going on, bro? What's going on, bro? I've been hearing great news about you, bro. What's been going on? I've been hearing a rumor that you in studios nowadays. Like, what's going on with that?
Oh man, bro. Yeah, lovely time I had. It was amazing, bro. Amazing. So I got a call the other day. Let's reflect back. I want to talk about when before the trip to Orlando for Full Sail University's graduation. I stopped by a studio before I went off to Orlando, and I stopped by a studio here in Paterson, New Jersey, and I spoke to the owner of a recording studio business by the name of Kilo Vision Productions. I went inside, I spoke to the owner, told him, hey, look, listen, I'm graduating from Full Sail University. I'm going to obtain a bachelor's in science degree in audio production, and I was wondering if you need any audio engineers. So he was talking to me. He told me, yeah, he does need some audio engineers, and he asked for my availability, of course. And he asked me, to let him know, what days I'll be able to go to the studio and work. I said, okay, I'll let you know what's up. I'll let you know the days that I have off. I'll let you know the days that I'm available. So what I did is, for my actual job, I took a week off from work after I came back from Orlando. And I gave him the dates of me coming back from Orlando. I told him, hey, look, listen, I'm going to be graduating at Full Sail. I'm going to be walking. So when I come back from Orlando, I'll give you a time frame of when we can actually meet up. So I gave him the dates. He didn't hit me up, bro. Like, when I came back from Orlando, I was very slumped, bro. Like, my energy was, I felt like it was off. Because, bro, we just graduated Full Sail. You remember, Full Sail was always holding our hand with stuff. You know what I mean?
Right.
So us graduating from Full Sail, it's just like, damn, now it's like, what now? You know what I mean? And I already knew from the jump I had to work on Bay City Studios a little bit more, get some clientele in here, work with Big Pep and make sure his project is up to par, make sure I have a couple podcasts in here and all that. So, I was still in that mood of just being like, I have to work. Because remember, when we were at Full Sail, when we were taking classes at Full Sail, we had deadlines for certain projects at a certain time, and it's like we got so accustomed to that to the point where it's like now we look at FSO online right now and we're looking for the next assignments. It's no more.
I just was on there a while ago, bro. I was just looking on there a while ago. Like, is anything gonna pop up? Like,
yes,
there's nothing there, bro.
So it's crazy, man. So I'm like, damn, man. So what's the next move? Well, Saturday night, of course. He ended up texting me. He gave me a text. He said, yo, what's good, bro? And right then and there, like, what triggered in my head was, yo, should I answer back or should I not answer back? Because you gotta think, man, it's a Saturday, bro. I worked the next day early in the morning, and it was kind of really throwing me off. You know what I mean? So it's like, I don't know if I should take the opportunity. But here's the thing: I always remind myself, and this is something about risk, guys. This is when we talk about risk, this is certain things you need to take when it comes down to opportunity, because you never know what will happen. So he hit me up, and then I waited, I would say 15, 20 minutes before I responded back, because I had to convince my mind to say, yo, like, what you doing, bro? You always preach about having opportunities and stuff, Juan, and look, now the opportunity is here, and then you're about to just brush it off like it's nothing. So at that point, I just said, you know what? Forget it. I texted him back, hey, man, what's up, bro? How you doing, man? After that, he tells me, yo, I have a session for you, bro, such and such, whatever. If the clients like you, then I'll make you a permanent engineer here at Kilo Vision Productions. And I'm like, man, okay. I'm like, yeah, it's cool, bro. So I spoke to him over the phone. We started talking. He told me, the clients, they're looking to book or whatever. And I was, okay, so what times do they have just in case, And honestly, at this point, I'm just going to be real jump with you all. I don't even care what time it was. If it was late night that client wanted some type of work, I would have been there. The only reason why is because, like I said, you have to take risks for this industry, bro, no matter what. In order to know if it's right for you, the only way you gonna know is if you actually do it. So, he was, yeah, yo, I got a session at 7. So I said, okay. I was like, yeah, that's the time the client wants to book. He said, you good for that? I'm like, yeah, I'm good. He took that. He said, just like he said, the feedback is what I'm looking for the clients. If the client said that you're good, then I'll make you the second engineer. I said, okay, cool. I get there at 6:30. He shows me around, shows me a couple of the equipment that he's working with. I learned a lot about the audio converter, which is pretty cool because he's working with an audio converter. No ordinary interface. So, so I learned from the audio converter, and all I basically asked him was, and just to let you know, Ace, I was by myself, bro. I was by myself. You know what I mean? I asked him.
Yeah, you can handle it. You can handle it.
Yeah.
Well, that got you prepared. You can handle it.
And that's what I asked him. I asked him first. I asked him who would be there with me. He was like, "You're gonna be by yourself, when you're gonna close or whatever and everything else." I said, "All right, it is what it is." So when he got there to show me around, he showed me where, he was showing me how to close up and all the other stuff. So clients came in. It was a wonderful session, bro. And me, I love to meet new people with different visions in mind and everything else. Before I even got there, I was just thinking like, damn, man, you never know. Maybe these clients might be wild. They might not like what I'm doing, blah, blah, and all this other stuff. But it everything came out wonderful, man. Everything came out wonderful. And we had to talk a little bit about arrangements and all the other stuff with them and, making sure they got everything organized because, honestly, at this point, I think the session wasn't really too organized, but it's okay because I think what happened is what Akila was telling me is one of the artists has been gone for a while, and now he's starting to try to get back in the groove of making music again. So that already tells you right then and there why certain things weren't put together the way they were supposed to. But what I will say is a good learning experience because he got some gems from me, I got some gems from him. And we got the point to where we got close, and the artist wants to book more sessions with me. He thinks like my energy is good. He thinks that I'm on the right path of things. He watched how I was doing, like busting tracks, how I was doing certain stuff, and he's like, bro, I know he's like, there's engineers that sometimes they take their time to do stuff, and that they don't know much about what they're doing. But he says to me that he knows, like right then and there, he's like, I know that you know what you're doing, bro, because the way you're busting tracks and doing stuff. And we stayed there like the whole night, bro. I wasn't there. Bro, Ace, you know what it is, because I called you right after, man. And it's like freaking 2 in the morning.
Yeah.
It's like 2 in the morning.
It was crazy.
It was 2 in the morning. I had to work the next day at 5 in the morning, bro. And, you know what I mean? Luckily, we had another hour of sleep. I just, after the session, I guess the artist contacted the owner, told him, that I'm a good fit, I'm a good engineer and everything else. And then voila, now you're looking at a new engineer at Kilo Vision Productions.
Congratulations, bro. Congratulations, bro.
Yeah.
So what we going to do today is we're going to let the new engineer that we have here with us, the certified new engineer for Kilo Vision
Studio? Productions. Yep,
Kilo Vision Production.
Mm-hmm.
I want you to kind of for your first introduction. I want you to talk to these guys today about important audio.
Ooh, important audio, bro.
Important audio. They need to know about important audio the proper way. So when you was in that studio, and I'm knowing that them guys had like an MP3 file waveform of an instrumental that needed been imported.
Yeah.
And you using Pro Tools?
I was using Pro Tools. Yep.
You using Pro Tools? So explain how did you import? I know that you know how to import it, but some guys on the into it, they might not know how to properly import that audio to
Yeah. So for everybody who's listening right now, thank you guys for listening. I appreciate everybody for listening right now. Let's talk a little bit, like Ace was saying. This is more of the recording and mixing process for you guys. These are gems that we can drop for you, so you can be able to use it. Whether you're an upcoming engineer or you are an engineer and you're still trying to get into the works of some stuff, understand that there's knowledge every single time that you're either listening to something or you're opening Pro Tools just for the hell of it. You got to understand that no matter what, you're always learning something every single day. So, so let's talk a little bit about importing audio, right? Because isn't this one of the topics that I believe that our school was drilling in our heads with information? Like,
Yeah, they beat that in our head.
they had to beat it in our heads for a reason. And now, why are they doing this? You know what I mean? Why are they beating importing audio in our heads for? I'm gonna tell you why, because it's a common mistake that a lot of engineers do. And me, for instance, I'm gonna tell you a little background on how it was a mistake on my side too. So there was a artist I was working with, a female artist, and she was a singer or whatever, you know what I mean? And I was working on a mix for one of her projects. The track was amazing, you know what I mean? She's a real cool person, you know what I mean? I did my mix on it, did everything. She released the track. A couple months later, right? During that time frame, let me just tell you, during that time frame, I'm dealing with computer issues. So I had to restore my computer. You know, I had to take all my files. Of course, I took her session. I took, whatever else I had to take, and I stored them right into the external hard drive. Thinking, yeah, I got everything. Everything's cool. Couple months later, she hits me up. Hey, listen, I'm going to be performing this track, and I will need a performance track bounced out if you don't mind. Now, just to get this clear, Ace, I know that Full Sail has helped us construct this a lot more better than the past. Because remember, this is before Full Sail. Now Full Sail has us. When we bounce out files, we're bouncing out the mastered file, we're bouncing out the acapella, we're bouncing out the instrumental, and we're bouncing out a performance bounce out, right?
Right.
So this is this is before Full Sail. So I got the files, right? Got the files. And I said, okay, no problem. I'm gonna open up the files when I get the chance, and I'll get you that performance bounce out ready for you by the end of the day. I opened up the session. Right? I opened up the session. Dialog box pops up and says, files are missing. Files are missing. Why? Why are they files missing? Why are there files missing? And let me tell you why. When you import your audio files, what do? A lot of engineers make the common mistake of adding files. Once you're hitting import, it gives you either three options. Number one, it gives you add files. Number two, it gives you copy files. And number three, it gives you convert files. Let's talk a little bit about add files. What is add files, Juan? What is add files? What is add files, Ace? You know what I mean?
We adding a file from a folder to the session.
Exactly, right? That's what you would think, right? Oh yeah, you don't want to add the file, right? That's what you would think, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Add a file, yeah, That's what.
Not now. I'm thinking now.
Yeah.
My knowledge.
Yeah. If you make that common mistake, bro, I think I would go to you, and I'm gonna have to beat some sense into you, bro. But yeah, we click the add files because add files is what it is, right? It's to add the files.
Right. You actually adding the file.
Yeah.
Like it is what it is. It's saying what it is.
Yeah.
Add files. You're actually doing it.
Add files, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, it's actually a new track or a clip, or adding it in your clip list, right? I mean, that's pretty much what it is. But here's the situation. Let's say you downloaded that file from the internet, right? You downloaded that file from the internet. You put it in your downloads folder, right? It's in your downloads folder. You open up Pro Tools. You know, you remember your sessions. Remember on our other episode, we were talking about session setup, making sure your session setup is corrected. You know what I mean? 48, 44. You know what I mean? Boom. Go in there. You got your stuff up. You hit import audio. You hit add files. And you know what happens with that file that you added? You just added a file that was part of the folder, that was part of the downloads folder. That's what you did. You didn't add the file into Pro Tools. What you did is you added a file from the downloads folder. So let me just tell you just like this, real plain and simple. You take that session, right? You take that session, you throw it in your external hard drive, right? Your downloads folder is still in your computer, you know what I mean? But you took the session and put it in your external hard drive. Guess what happened? You left your file in the download folder. You left the download folder in your computer. So when you wipe your computer out, guess what happens? That file is not there anymore. So this is what I'm going to say right now. And this is what they had to beat in our heads every single time. Audio files. Whenever you're importing audio files, you are either copying or converting. All right? You're either copying or converting. Ace, give a little background on convert. Why do you convert audio files? What is convert, by the way?
Okay, convert is what it is. You converting, like you convert something into a different form. You converting.
Mm-hmm.
But it go back to what we were saying in the previous podcast, where we say you gotta set your session up with the audio file. You get the detail from like the sample rate and bit depth, and you set your session up.
Yeah.
But let's say you already working in the session is how, well, let's say 24, 48 sample rate and bit depth, and you have an audio file that you want to add to that session that's 1644 and sample rate and bit depth. And in order for that file to work in your session, it would need to be converted to the session sample rate and bit depth. So what you're doing is, you're not going to add. It's still going to add. You're not going to add it. It's still going to copy in, but you're converting it before you copy it in, so that it can match the same session that you're working in. And sometimes, people make the mistake and don't convert, but add, and they wonder why is this audio is not acting right? Why this only piece of audio not working right in my session? That's because you forgot to press the convert button, so it can match the sample rate and bit depth of the session.
Indeed.
There's gonna be times where you got a full session up that's 24:48, and then someone say, hey, I want to add this track, but the producer recorded the sample rate and bit depth at 1644, but the artist say, I want that in my song. But if you don't convert it, it's not gonna act right. It might speed up or slow down. Like I say, you only gonna notice it when you bounce it out. You're not gonna notice it when you mixing it in.
Yeah.
You're gonna notice it when it's time to bounce it out, that particular instrument or whatever you added is speeding up or slowing down than the rest of them. Like the rest of them going at the normal rate, and this one instrument is going like crazy.
Yeah.
So when you convert it, it's gonna making that piece of audio match the current session sample rate and bit depth, and it's very important to remember, because you don't do it, you're gonna have a problem when it come down to bouncing out or turning in a session to an artist, because you're not gonna notice it until you bounce out the file and listen back. And if you're not a person that listen back, you're already making a mistake.
You're making a mistake.
You're not gonna catch it.
Yep. And let's talk a little bit about mistakes. Like we said, guys, we make mistakes. We make these mistakes. There was a radio promo that we were working on for a course that we was taking, and one of the radio promos, he gave us the song to do it over, and he had us do that stuff. You know what I mean? And I uploaded the file, and it became the wrong sample rate. So little when I bounced out the file, I don't even know that it was fast forward. And I think that I explained that in the other episode, if I'm not mistaken. But that's what it is. You want to make sure that when you're importing your audio, you're importing your audio correctly. You're either copying files or you're converting. So what's copy files? Why copy files? What is copy files? Copy files is simple. It is self-explanatory. It copies the file that's in the folder and makes another copy of that audio file into your session. Remember, Pro Tools, when you open a Pro Tools session or you make a new Pro Tools session, what does it make? It makes your audio folder, it makes your wave cache, it makes your actual session, and when you bounce, it makes a bounce folder for you. You know? So everything's already registered for you right then and there. So when you're copying your audio files, that's the way you're going to be able to keep your session intact. So whenever you're sending out your session to another mixing engineer or mastering engineer, there will not be any audio files missing. Another thing, the save copy in, right? Because I know there's a save button and there's a save copy in button. So save copy in button, when you're save copy in, right? You want to make sure that in the dialog box of save copy in, there's a section that says add audio files. You want to make sure that you check that when you're save copying in. The only reason being is the same exact thing. If you don't do that, what happens? You'll end up losing audio files, and you don't want to do that. You don't.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's the minor mistakes that all of us, all engineers do. Engineers, producers, everybody, we make that common mistake where we think that if we add files or we're doing this or doing that, it's gonna make a big difference. And believe it or not, you need to make sure you're copying your files. You need to make sure you're either copying or converting. So what are we doing? Every single time that we import audio?
I'm just playing. We is copying in or we is converting.
Exactly. We are copying or we converting. Those are the two options to go by every single time you import audio. Every single time, you know? Make sure you keep that in your head. And this is something that was drilled to us. Bro, let me tell you, professors were not playing no games when they told us that. They get mad. Bro. They would sit there and be like, make sure you guys are hitting copy files or convert files. Don't sit there and hit add files. Because if you send me that session and I see that there's audio files missing, I will give you an automatic 0.
And then send the session back to you.
And then send the session back to you for correction. Like, that's how tough it is, bro. And let me tell you something. You don't want to see a 0. You don't want to see a 0 because it's, and I'm talking about a temporary 0. You know what I mean? It's just temporary. It's not permanent. It's a temporary 0. But let me tell you how much that kills you, seeing that 0 until you actually have it change it. Hey, so you know what I'm talking about.
It hurt. It cuts deep. It cuts deep. Like, oh, I just messed up. Because you in your head that you put your all into this and you spent like time, you spent some time into doing this project to find out that you made one simple mistake. And then they send it back to you with a 0 saying, hey, what audio files?
Yeah.
And you be like, I just sit here and mix all these audio files and I don't know where it's at. And I hate for a person to be done deleted all the audio files or they cleaned up their computer after they submitted because they thought they got all the audio files and they got copies of it just to find out like, oh, you don't even have the audio file. Now you gotta sit here and find audio files to match and it's go back and download from the actual class the audio files. Now you might have to turn around and start all the way over your mix section all the way over if you can't implement the audio files incorrectly. So it's almost like it'd be a disaster once you put all that time and work into mixing the track or editing, whatever you're doing, just to find out that you didn't do one thing right.
And remember, it's a pain in the A with more actual channels open, bro. More channels open, especially when you're dealing with rock bands. Can you imagine? Can you imagine having a rock band come record, do their thing, or they record it somewhere else and they sent you the files for mixing, and you decided not to hit copy files or convert? Then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, you're sending out a session with no type of audio files. Then you have to try to find a way to implement those audio files into your actual session. Oh my God, it's a nightmare. It's a nightmare.
It's a nightmare, but hey,
It's a
it
nightmare.
happens. It
Yeah.
happens. It happens. So don't forget, import, copy in, or convert.
Convert.
Don't forget them things. That's how you want to import audio. Some people saying, "Oh, why I just can't drag and drop in the clip list?" And they say, "Why I just can't drag and drop?" And I used to be the one that loved to drag and drop.
Drag and drop.
I used to be the one that loved to drag and drop the audio.
Mm-hmm.
But you're gonna make a mistake. And I didn't understand the mistake I could have made by just dragging and drop. It all depends on what type of project you're working on too. But for now, I do it for all my projects now. I just go to long way to press file and make sure I don't have to convert. Because when you're dragging and dropping, you don't have the option to convert.
Yeah.
Or you don't have the option to copy in or copy if you needed to. You just dropping raw files directly into the DAW. So if it need to convert it, you don't have that option no more to convert. So you are already messing up.
Well, even even that though, let me just throw this in there. Sorry for that, Ace. Even that though, when you kind of think about drag and drop, aren't you doing the same thing as add files?
Yes, you are, because you don't have a copy of that. You don't have a copy of the audio if something go wrong with the audio file.
You're just dragging. You're just dragging the audio from a folder that's gonna be. You're just adding. You're dragging an audio file from a folder that's gonna be obsolete when you send out that session. When you send out that session to the mastering engineer, mixing engineer, that file that was in that folder that you dragged from is not there anymore, because that that mixing engineer doesn't have that audio file. So you did was just add file again. You add file.
I had to learn that the hard way. I said, so you mean tell me when I was doing all the dragging and dropping, I had audio file with all different types of sample rates in one session? I said, oh man, it's crazy. Now, it's important when it come down to music, when it come down to like film and stuff like that. But now, I used to do it when I was doing like sound design for games. You got a little flexible thing, but I wouldn't do it. Me personally, I wouldn't still do it now. Since I know what I know, I wouldn't do it. But it's almost kind of like flexible a little bit. But me telling you, don't do it. Just go to the copy files, import, and do it the proper way to make sure everything good, because you don't want to be having to have a mistake that you could have corrected. But, you can a mistake that you didn't have to go through just because you didn't want to go the longer route. You want to make a shortcut by dragging and dropping audio in the session. So you go the long way, did everything implemented and proper the first time, and you don't have to go back and try to correct nothing at the end of the day.
Yeah, so, because that's what you want to do, though. But
now, Juan,
if
somebody's sitting here telling me, I'm hearing them. They don't know I'm hearing them over there. Right. But someone's sitting here saying, okay, y'all done beat in our head that we got to copy in or convert. But what do we do after we get in the session? What's our next step after we get in the session?
So we're gonna talk a little bit about arrangements. Now, the arrangements meaning being organized, man. Oh my God. So
yes.
So here's the thing. And let's do two perspectives here, right? Let's talk a little bit about rock bands, and let's talk a little bit about rap artists, right? So let's go with the rock band first. Rock bands normally have more than just one thing. They have, they'll send out all the live instruments recorded, which is, guitars, drums. You have, the bass, all that stuff. You have everything all in total that you're going to end up arranging. Now, let me tell you, arrangement is one thing that's going to keep you going in the right path. Because you need to understand how crazy arrangements are, bro, when it comes to this. Normally, Full Sail helped us become more organized because especially we were dealing with a lot of rock bands at Full Sail. Every single session that we did, honestly, I think was just rock, you know, and
It was live instruments and
all
rock. It
all
wasn't. I think it was just one class that we had to download, and that was that hip hop section we did. We had to remix "Back Down."
oh yeah, back
That was the
down,
only.
gotta
Yep.
really want it, yeah.
Yeah,
But
yeah, that was the
still,
only section I knew
but
that was like
but
wasn't live.
but we still did have the whole instruments in place
Yeah,
because
yes,
remember
yes,
it was not like yo a producer already did his thing and mixed it up and all that stuff and he sent it out. See, that's the second perspective that we're going to talk about in like rap. So when you're importing audio from a rock band, right, all live instruments, all the other stuff, you want to make sure you're arranged the proper way. This is going to help
right.
you become more organized. So take it from us. Here's some gems for you guys. You know what I mean? From what we learned. What we learned is if you arrange your instruments properly, like for example, what's in the drum categories? You have your kick, your snare, your hi-hats, maybe your toms if you wanted to, you know what I mean? All them stuff. The bass is always by itself. It's not part of the drums. You know what I mean? The bass is always by itself. And then, of course, you know, you have the guitars because usually there are guitars in rock songs. So
Right.
then you highlight all the rock songs and you keep them all together. We're going to talk about subgrouping later on. We're going to talk about grouping later on. We're going to do all that. But what I do want to talk to you about is arrangement and color coding. Ace, what's color coding? What is that? Color coding, Juan. What are you talking about?
Man, color coding your track. It's like it's almost like you making categories. Like it's what you say in categories. It means it's saying if you have 5 drum tracks, and I want to color code all my tracks, the 5 tracks yellow, or I want to do all my vocals red. I want to do all my keys blue.
Mm-hmm.
That is helping you visually understand what section you working in a different section of your song. Like, it's visually gonna help you stay organized when you come down to mixing.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you got everything all on one track, and let's say you skip the labeling, you didn't label everything proper, or you just say I don't want to label, nothing, I just want to go straight in. But at least you got this color code, knowing that I'm in a different section of the song. I'm over here messing with the drums, or I'm over here messing with the vocals, or I'm over here messing with the background vocal that I highlighted all green.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a visual organization that you just sit here and deal with yourself. You just organize yourself visually when you do that,
Mm-hmm.
because you don't want to have everything all. What's the
This,
preset for the Pro Tools all blue? I think it come in
yeah,
all
all blue. Yeah, all blue. Yep.
Yeah.
It's
You don't want to sit here and work in a session all blue, and
it helps
you wanna
everybody
kinda
else.
keep it organized.
Yeah, it helps everybody else too. Like if I were to send the session to you, that color coding helps out a lot because it identifies what is what. You know what I mean?
Right.
And shit, Pro Tools, they give you that. You know what I mean? They give
For
you
free.
that for free. So use it. I'm gonna tell you right now, color coding is gonna help you out a lot to identify what is what. Even their comment box on some of their mixing channels, and big shout outs to Logic for having that. Also, Logic has that whole big session with that whole big section for the notepad. They have a notepad in the DAW software that you can use where you can write down certain stuff. And me personally, I use it a lot due to the fact that if I'm writing chord progressions out, if I'm putting down BPMs of the beat, if I'm, all that. So it's like it helps out a lot. And also I add notes to what has to do next. For instance, let's talk a little bit about the session that I did at Kilo Vision Productions with the artist. Honestly, I was recording all over the place. I was recording here, recording there, and I knew for a fact that later on I'm going to have to rearrange things because the artist was asking for more than one thing. So it's like I was trying my best to fit certain things in certain places. So as soon as he left, my responsibility is to make sure everything is lined up correctly. So
Right.
I wrote in the comment boxes, yo, this has to be gain staged, you know what I mean? A little bit more processing, blah, blah, and everything else. Like, I wrote stuff for myself because when I go in there, I'm going to be able to see where we left off at. Also, if another mixing engineer is going to take over the project, they'll be able to see that as well, you know?
Right.
So those are things that that you want to utilize all the time, especially when it comes to arranging sessions. You know what I mean? Arranging sessions will help out a lot when you're color coding and all that. So this is the rock perspective that we're talking about. Let's talk about the hip hop perspective on arrangement. On the rap side of things, usually a hip hop artist or rap artist usually has their beat already. They don't have it where it's like all live instruments and they're sending it over to you. Unless you're doing back down, y'all don't really want to work with me. But
That track was crazy. Bro.
I loved it. I loved it though. I'm not gonna front. Like,
that track was crazy.
it was good, bro. It was really good. And when I listened to the original, it was really good, bro. I was like, oh, this is pretty dope, yo. And the video was simple, man. The video, I watched the music video. It was really simple, yo. And I was like, this is pretty cool, yo. So in a hip hop perspective, right? Artist comes over to the studio. He gives you the file. He says, yo, I wanna download this beat off of YouTube. You download the beat off of YouTube and you insert it. You're importing the audio. And what are you doing when you're importing audio? You're copying or converting the file. That's what you're doing. Right. So he gives you the beat, you import it, copy the file in, boom, right? Normally when it comes to sessions, okay? When it comes to sessions, I make my stuff up already. I already know there's going to be a lead vocal. I already know there's going to be an in and out. I know there's probably going to be in and out double. There might be a lead double as well. There might be, there's going to be some ad libs. And what I do is I add 3 extra channels open just in case. Why do you do 3 channels? Juan, what is it? Why do you do 3 channels? It's because if the artist wants to punch in at a certain place, or I want to keep things, we are trained to use playlists. And playlists, we're going to talk about playlists later. But me, on the other hand, I didn't want to go into the playlist all the time. So what I do is I keep certain sections of the song on one simple place. So that way, if I ever want to go back to it, I could, So you do that. He imports the session. So I already have my session already lined up, and I color coded everything, and I also put things in the comment box. Here's another gem I'm gonna drop for you guys for the comment box. Even if you have to put something random in there, I don't care what you write. Just write something, because it helps you continue using the comment box. It helps you. Even if you put down the artist is gonna rap right here. No shit. He's gonna rap there. He's gonna rap there. That's what he has to, it's the lead vocal. That's where he's rapping. But when you do that, it helps you continue to use it. They give you these tools for the reason. You know what I mean? They give you the tools for the reason, because for that main reason is because you want to make sure that everything is organized properly. You know what I mean?
Right. And I think I would go to the extent of saying tempo mapping is a part of the arrangement too, because you need your session locked to the grid proper to do your markers to identify what's the chorus, what's the verse, what's the intro, what's the outro, and loading that section up and don't have the proper tempo, because some sessions don't come with the proper tempo, because you got producers out here say, well, I'm not gonna sing the session, and you figure it out. You the engineer, you figure it out. Yeah. Sometimes they forget it. Sometimes they forget it. They might not think to put the tempo down, or they just get on their dial and go. But it's rare to happen. Most producers, most professional producers and stuff have the tempo and the key that is in. But you're gonna have some sessions that have been passed around for a good little bit, and the tempo got lost somewhere. Mm-hmm. And identifying that tempo is important to make everything locked to the grid proper for your organization, so you can get the what's intro, what's the chorus, what is the outro, because you're gonna need them sessions to do your when it come down to mixing. You're gonna need to know what section you in when you come down to mix, so you know how to mix each section properly.
Yeah.
And not knowing them sessions, and the music is not lined out correctly. You got the uh, a chorus guitar ringing in the verse that's not supposed to be there because everything is not lined out. It's not locked to the grid proper. It's not going to work. It's gonna throw your mixing or mastering process or even editing, however you want to do, whatever you're doing in that DAW, it's gonna throw everything out and from that point forward. So I want to say I will go to the extent of saying tempo mapping is part of
The
arrangement,
arrangements.
because it's because you gotta get it, you gotta get that right before you even get to identify each section of the song.
Indeed. And tempo mapping, man, tempo mapping is not easy. I honestly, me being me, and even with the experience I had over the years, man, tempo mapping is not easy, especially when you're dealing with rock songs that have live instruments recorded. No, you know what? I'm not even just gonna say rock. Just anything that has live instruments recorded, because certain things don't sync up the right way, especially when you tempo map. And I remember we took a couple courses already where we had to tempo map the track before we even started doing anything whatsoever. And I always had the tempo mapping going perfect in the beginning to the middle, you know what I mean? And everything is good in the middle. Then I'm going into the second verse, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, it falls off track.
It falls off track. It don't sound right no more. And another thing about the tempo mapping with the live instrument is you gotta think about it. Be realistic about this. If a human playing an instrument, they're
Mm-hmm.
not playing to a one tempo perfectly. So you gotta think about it. He's not a robot. He can't stay at 140 all the way through the song. He gonna drift down. He gonna drift up. He gonna go up and down. So that whole song gonna have different tempos going up and down. But you can stay on beat,
Yeah.
and that's the main thing that you want the song to do. Stay on beat. So you might have three or four, five, six, seven different tempos
Mm-hmm.
in and out, but it's gonna be like I'm staying on beat. You're like, how can you stay on beat with so many tempos like that? Because everybody, when one drift, they professional. I don't know how to play instruments, but they professional. They know how to sync in with each other when one is drifting all and
Yeah.
everything. But you go in personally and you look at this grid that you're gonna be working in any DAW. You can Pro Tools, Logic, FL Studio, whatever DAW. You can kind of pretty much when you start mapping out, you can kind of lock all your main instruments on the grid,
Mm-hmm.
and then everything else is gonna be in sync with the song. But if you don't have those main instruments on the grid the right way, everything else gonna fall off. Like the kick drum, the snare, your hi hats ticking. You like them is the bass coming in and out depending on what type of bass drum or a bass instrument it is.
Mm-hmm.
Like them is like main rhythms of the song. Like them is that should make up your rhythm. So once you got your rhythm in line, everything else gonna fall in line.
Yeah.
And tempo mapping, it was crazy for me too when I first started. I can do it now. I got used to doing it because I made myself sit there and practice tempo mapping.
Yeah.
But when I first started, like
Yeah.
it
It's
was
tough.
tough because I was sitting here tempo mapping the wrong hit when it come down to the snare. And I was tempo mapping the second hit, but not the first hit. Cause you know how some drummers hit it twice, tap tap top, top.
Yeah.
And I was the second hit, I was lining it up thinking it was supposed to, as the first hit, and everything was screwed up. And me not listening to it and playing back, I messed around and tempo map a whole 7 minute song and just to find out wasn't nothing right. It fell off grid
Yeah.
on the eighth bar. So I
Oh
was like,
no. Yeah, bro,
and we talking
you're reminding me already of how crazy that tempo mapping was, bro. Cause oh my god, bro. Cause if you mess it up, that's when it gets worse. Because if you're tempo mapping all perfectly throughout the beginning of the song, then suddenly out of nowhere it starts drifting off, and then you try to like fix it toward that section. And if you mess it up on that section, guess what happens to everything else in the beginning that was perfect? It falls off completely.
It falls off completely because it's not one thing is not moving when you tempo map. Everything is moving. Every track that you got loaded up, every time you press Command I want to say it is Command I and put, oh, it's supposed to be bar 3. And when you press enter, everything shifts. Everything in that time right there shifts. All your track shifts at once because it's trying to lock it to the grid. And how do we find out when it drift? Create your click track.
Mm-hmm.
When you create that click track, which is your metronome, it gonna
Metronome.
click, 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 click. Then you're gonna hear it, the metronome moving at one pace because your metronome is robotic. It's not gonna fall off. You can't
Mm-hmm.
say he wrong. You can't say the metronome is wrong.
Nah.
No, he's not wrong. Metronome is always right. So when you hear your metronome in let's say your snare, because the snare is pretty much the easiest thing to get the song in order because it hit on the 2 or the 4
Mm-hmm.
every time, and then some trap songs it hit on the 3, and that metronome is not hitting perfect with your snare or your kick drum. Oh, it's everything else is out of whack. There's no questions about like, oh, is everything else good? No, it's nothing good because that's the main instrument of your rhythm. It's your kick drum and your snare. Without them being in place, everything else gonna fall out. So
That's why you want to make sure, like I said, you want to make sure your session is prepared correctly before you even do anything, man. Because trust me, it'll help align things a lot better for you in the long run. You'll get used to doing that every single time. And we'll talk about we'll talk about templates later. We're gonna
yeah,
talk
yeah,
about
yeah.
templates. We're gonna talk about, everything else when it comes to that, because it makes things a lot more easier for you whenever you're dealing with any type of clients whatsoever. You have everything already set up for you. Your vocal chains, you get your subgroups and already done and so forth. So just keep in mind that these are gems. Three gems. Importing audio. And what do we do when we import audio?
Copy in or convert.
That's what we're doing. Top of that, arranging your sessions the right way, using color codings and comments inside your boxes, so that way you know exactly what's going on. Utilize that, and then also on top of that, another gem is tempo mapping. Tempo mapping is another gem because normally sometimes you still, no matter if it's just an imported audio from a YouTuber who made a beat, and and the artist wants to use that beat, still get the tempo of that beat. There's apps for that, guys. There's apps for tapping for BPMs. Use those apps and try to get that BPM for that beat, so that way you can arrange correctly when an artist is about, when you can place all the sounds in the right places and they're not just all over the place, and then you have to put it on slip mode to find out where it's gonna land at, like
Right.
this is gonna save you a lot of time when you're on grid mode for sure, you know so
And
these are
plus, they're gonna help the engineer that's mixing. They're gonna
Mhm.
help him out. They're gonna make him do less work because even though we know how to put it in time,
Yeah,
we don't want to have to do all that work if you already know the tempo of it and it's already
exactly.
in time. Like we don't want to see how to spend an hour or two trying to put a whole song in time because it can be tedious sometimes because
Yeah,
trying to get everything in time and we just want to sit here and just mix. Uh, okay, it gonna hurt your pockets. I wouldn't mind doing it because
yeah,
I'm charging for it. Of course, I'm charging for
yeah,
it,
yeah.
so it gonna hurt you worse than it hurt me. But I'm gonna get the job done. But stay organized.
S- s-
That's
that's the
that's the
that's the
big
key.
message of everything.
Yep,
That's
stay
the key. Stay
organized.
organized. Stay organized. Pay attention to how you importing the audio. Get that tempo down. And to be honest with you, like we just gave you the gems of even getting like the main engineer haven't even came in to mix yet. He don't even want to mix until all this is in place first
Yeah.
because there's nothing else gonna be right if this is not in place first. The first three steps is not here. If they not there and in place, you didn't do them right. He not even gonna want to mix the track until that's in order. He might have to come do it. Like, hey, you know what, I'm gonna go do it myself because he might be ready to mix.
Hmm.
But it's all depending on what role you playing in the studio. But that's something that you want to pay attention to, how you importing the tempo,
Mm-hmm.
how you arranging it, you know, keep everything organized because when it comes down to the mixing and getting that stuff processed and all this, you're gonna be adding more tracks to the what you got
Mm-hmm.
already, and you don't want to be adding tracks all over the place. And you got sitting here, got the drum bust out over here, then one track way down here by the vocals. You might end up routing that with the vocal subs. We'll talk more about that later, but
Yeah.
you don't want to end up mixing all these tracks together, not knowing what is what.
What is what?
Because once you start tying these tracks in, you don't want to be moving one knob and then moving, taking the value off one vocal line over here that you didn't want to touch because you didn't pay attention to how you was organizing your track. So stay organized. That's the main key
And then we're
in
and we'll
all this we're
and we'll
talking about.
talk and we'll talk later on about busing. You know what I mean? Busing tracks to certain places so that way it well organized. Because let me just tell you guys, when you're about to get into arrangement in your sessions, you know you have to open up tracks. You know what I mean? New tracks for the artist to record on and all the other stuff. And of course, you have to open your auxes because your auxes are what you're going to bust to in order to implement any type of plugins that you want to use. Um, so in the long run, you're going to learn how to, you know, you're going to hear that from us. We're going to talk about a little bit about busing tracks towards certain spots. I think in the next episode, we're going to talk a little bit about recording vocals below -60 B because I know a lot of people have been asking for that. They have been asking
Yeah,
for
yeah, they
that.
saying, man, this man crazy, but I don't understand it. Why he wanted to record under the standard that I've been taught? Like, what is going on with this? Like, I
it,
want to know about this. Everybody want to know about this. I
it,
know about this, but I want to know about this.
yeah, there's a lot to go into -60 B. We're gonna be talking a little bit more about that for you guys. You know what I mean? And reasons being on why I record below -60 B. Remember, like I said, everybody has their own way of doing things. Let me just tell you guys that these are just gems to help you in the long run. It's like advice, right? When somebody gives you advice, it's not, you don't take the full advice. You only take parts of that advice and and you put it toward whatever you're doing in order for it to work out the right way. You know what I mean? So it's like that. It's the same exact thing. We giving you gems in order for you to use toward it. Maybe it can help you out. You don't know. You know what I mean? You're gonna hear next time somebody says, "Yo, how'd you learn this?" Also listen to the No Clipping podcast. You know what I mean? Like that's
Right.
wonders, bro. I love that. And I do want to say big shout outs to Juan de Jesus, bro. He actually hit us up on Discord and he told us, just checked out your new podcast. Love it, bro. Keep it up. Especially the energy you brought on the first episode. Keep that energy up and you will blow up in no time. Much love to Juan de Jesus for that, yo. I
Shout out to
appreciate that.
one. Shout out to one.
Juan was a valedictorian in Full Sail University. He was right next to me, yo. I was a
Yeah,
valid,
he was coming for you. One
yo.
was coming for one. Ain't that some crazy stuff,
Right?
bro?
That's
One was coming
crazy,
for
bro.
one.
Hey, bro, we both killed it, man. Yo, much love to him, yo. We met him in Orlando. We met up with him in Orlando when we went for the graduation, and yo, phenomenal, man. Much love to everybody who we saw over there, yo. I can't wait to probably get some people on the podcast from our school, man. That'll be freaking wonderful, yo. You know what I
That
mean?
would be dope.
Get some featured people in here, and then we'll work from there, yo. You know, I can't wait to do that because it's gonna
And
be
on
a
top of
wonderful
that,
time.
don't forget that we still out lurking for that one artist that we'll be coming near to do a
Yes.
whole LP, EP, or maybe an album, man. We looking for that artist. So hey, get at us, bro. Let us know what you got. To show us something. Let us hear something. Let us get some examples of what you're trying to put together. Let us see your vision, and you
Yeah.
might be the one we come put that vision together with. So we looking for that person. We still planning that to come near someone to do some work with, totally free from the beginning to the end. And we can
Mm-hmm.
produce, master, mix, however you want to do it. You got your own music, that's even better. So we can go straight into recording.
Mm-hmm.
But we still looking for that one person. That's still coming up. We still lurking. I'm still scouting. I'm doing my little silent scout. I was telling my boy Juan, I said, yeah, I'm still looking. I'm scouting, bro. I'm scouting. I'm still looking for that one person that we can.
Yeah.
I'm gonna inbox and say, hey, listen, let us help you out. Let us put your dream together.
Yeah,
And
because what we're gonna do is just for everybody. I know you guys probably heard it in the other episode, but like I said, We're looking for that one lucky artist that we're going to fly out to your town, guys. To your town. We're going to book a hotel, and we're going to do a whole week of producing, mixing. Well, no, sorry. Let's go in reverse. Of producing, recording, mixing, and mastering for that one artist, whether it's an LP, EP, or album. And you're going to have engineers in the building. You're going to have producers in the building. We're going to try to get all that done in 1 week, guys. 1 week. We lock in a hotel and just do our thing, bro. You know what I mean? Like,
don't worry, it's 3 of us. One of us not here on this episode today because he had to tend to more business.
Yeah.
Personal going on. He will be in the future episodes.
Yep.
But it's 3 of us. One gonna be like, one might be producing, one might be mixing, one might be recording, and we all can master at that point. When but that's the end game pretty much for the master come in. We more focus on recording, mixing, and getting you produced, bro, and getting everything legal. Legal is the big thing. Like, we gotta make sure we keep everything legal and paperwork and documented. Make sure everybody is accounting for what they do.
Yeah.
We're not trying to get over on no one. We're not trying to get out. We trying to get do everything the right way.
Yeah. So we want to make sure everybody. Yeah, we got to make sure we get everything situated, man. Much love to everybody who's been listening to the No Clipping podcast. We do really appreciate it, man. And, the help that we could get, man, is if you guys share the podcast, let these people know about us, man. And we're looking to even connect with anybody out there who's willing to get on the podcast, or, you have your podcast of your own. We'll definitely help out and talk to you guys, man. We would love it. You know what I mean? But with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, we left with 3 gems. 3 wonderful gems. Importing audio.
3.
And what do we do when we import audio?
Copy in or convert.
That's what we're doing. After that, what are we doing? We're arranging a session, right? We're arranging a session on 2 perspectives. Maybe a live band, maybe somebody who recorded live instruments. And we also have the perspective of a hip-hop artist who didn't have the live instruments. So he has a producer who did everything on the beat pad, you know what I mean? So from there, boom, he sent you the WAV file. So now it's time for you to get the arrangement set up for getting that artist in to record his vocals, record his choruses, ad-libs, in and out doubles, lead vocals. You know what I mean? Like all that in total, boom, you put that in. And what are you doing after that? Still, make sure you have all the arrangements set up, right? But what happens after that? You have to make sure you're tempo mapping every single thing. It makes it a lot easier for you when everything's in grid mode. You can be able to move things the way you want to move it. Make sure you are doing everything on the industry standards, because it's going to help you tremendously. In the next episode, like I said, we're going to be talking a little bit more about more of things. We're going to get into this recording vocals below -60 B, because I feel like that's like a good topic there, So we're going to talk a little bit about that and a lot more. So, yeah, ladies and gentlemen, you already know we're wrapping up the episode. We're getting toward the end right now of the No Clipping podcast. I want to say thank you once again. Make sure you guys hit the follow button on Spotify. We are going to be on YouTube real soon. We are on Anchor and Spotify, and we're going to be on Apple Music real soon as well. So make sure you guys stay in tune with that. We'll make sure we put it on there. Check me out on Instagram. My name is Juan, but also at Juan the Engineer on Instagram. And I'm here with my homeboy
Ace, also known as Dre the Engineer on Instagram. If you're not already subscribed to our channel on Spotify, please leave us 5 stars, because I think, in my opinion, we the best podcast out here right now when dealing with audio. Dealing with audio and learning things about audio, we leaving gems. We leaving gems here. We don't want nothing from these gems. We leaving. We just want your ears and for you can be a great engineer yourself.
Indeed, so, man. Hey, just trying to pass out gems for you guys, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you all for tuning in, and as always, make sure your mixes are never clipping. Much love, y'all. Peace.